Right now, let's bring on our next speaker, Mr. Art Romanat.
Thank you, Monty. I want to say that it doesn't matter to me what party's in power. If they were doing the things that our government is doing now, I'd be here complaining too. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to add to the heat. Sorry. And by the way, I thought I was the only one who was going to be hot. Remember the candidate who promised change? He certainly didn't lie, did he? You've gotten change. Bills are passed without being reviewed or read for that matter. What happened to the 5 days that we were going to get to review them? Just words? Who reads them in the House? They sign them anyway. Hundreds of billions of dollars fly into the void without direction, control, or much less accountability. We are in debt for over $1 trillion, and soon it will be $10 trillion. Our votes are becoming meaningless. Government-sponsored organizations like Acorn turn in thousands of fraudulent votes and nothing happens. Many of our war veterans' votes are denied because of technicalities. These questionable organizations can register people who claim a park bench as their home, and that's accepted as long as it's for the right political party. We have constant attempts to legitimize illegal votes. Guess which party wants voter ID cards? And which party fights that? This organization, Acorn, is being investigated in 12 states for fraud, and nothing happens. The votes are not thrown out, but the party in power wants the nationwide census count, and they want them to do it, to participate in it. I wonder why. Automobile manufacturing corporations are taken over by a government administration that has never managed a candy store. They appoint a car czar who admits he knows nothing about cars, and he's in charge. Banks are taken over by this administration that could not even keep their own checkbook straight at their own congressional bank. They could not even run their own cafeteria, and these are the people leading this country. These are the people elected by 53% of the voters. It doesn't say much for the voters either, but that's democracy in action. These people want to take over our medical industry, our medical coverage. They're willing to spend $1.6 trillion to get coverage, and that's for 1/3 of the uninsured. Where's the money coming from? Let me give you a hint. Check your nearest mirror. It doesn't matter if you own medical insurance now. The government will be in the insurance business, and he doesn't have to make a profit. So who can compete with that? And then they will drop out. Excuse me. Your plan can't keep up with it, and they'll drop out. Your doctors will quit or take a drastic cut in salary, most likely leave. By the way, unions are to be exempt from medical costs. Why? Your president wants it that way. We will have shared responsibility payments. That's really a tax, to be paid every month. Failure to pay will cause the IRS to take it from you. We are all required to obey this law. It exempts federally recognized Indian tribes and, of course, current and retired members of Congress. There are $34 billion set aside to cover the underserved population, the homeless, the public housing residents, migratory and seasonal workers, and the on-hand illegal aliens. This plan is to be funded by a new health investment fund and is considered an off-budget item. This means it's not part of the annual budget. That $10 million has to be paid. And where does it come from? Thank the 53% again for that. The stimulus bill, which is now law, that we paid $787 billion, was to create jobs, remember? We had to rush so fast, we could not even read it. Quick, before the unemployment rate hits 8%. Guess what? It's 9.6% and expected to hit 10% before the end of summer. So where are the jobs? This happens every time. Where did the money go? Does anyone know? All I know is that this bunch will be back for more. The climate change cap and trade, that particular plan is designed to rake in the tax money on everything, to help pay for this administration plans, to control your every move. Thank you. It will flat amaze you, the audacity of this president. This still unfinished plan, already approved by the House, by the way, will be run by mandates. We'll have some 30-plus groups that participate as controllers, to include groups like ACORN, and the best part of this is that it will be administered by the United Nations. Funded with your tax dollars, of course. This plan is not finished, though approved by the House, and it already has been amended with 300 pages of unexplained figures and was delivered to the Senate at 3:09 in the morning this past weekend. They didn't even bother to read it. The largest tax raise in the history of our country. These are Democrats and Republicans alike. They don't respect the American people. They represent their own interests, their own power. Shame on them. China, Russia, and India, the largest polluters on the planet, have clearly stated that they want no part of this plan. For us, it mandates no drilling and no coal. Right now, we have half the states that produce their electricity from burning coal. Are the American people ready to go back to the 1800s style of living? Maybe ration electricity? Do you know how many jobs are involved in these two industries alone? In the millions. All this from a man we hardly know anything about. A man that goes on a world tour and blames everything gone bad on America. We're too arrogant, we're too selfish, too rich, too soft, but not too stupid, because 53% of us got him elected. He says nothing of the marvelous things this country has accomplished, like saving Europe twice in 1 century, liberating the Far East of imperialism, fighting communism in Korea and Vietnam, bringing liberation in the Middle East, and saving millions of Muslims from ethnic cleansing schemes. No mention of the sacrifices, the numerous lives our soldiers lost, the wounded, the missing, the agony of our citizens, the staggering treasure expended. Not a word. He bows to a dictator that mandates all kingdom children at home and abroad be taught to hate America. This is taught in Muslim schools, in this country, in our own country. Have you noticed that the only attention our military defense has been to cut programs and reduce their budgets? Yes, he cut the missile defense budget by $1.2 billion. Now, when we face the problem with North Korea threatening to shoot missiles towards the state of Hawaii, and Iran going unchecked with their nuclear threat, is this the time to squander our treasury with a questionable medical plan? How about the notion that he's going to control the Earth's temperature and weather? Is that the audacity he was talking about? Our building industry is in shambles, and the guilty ones who were instrumental in allowing this demise, they're still there, and even given more power. Our combat war veterans are called terrorists by the head of Homeland Security, and the released terrorists from Guantanamo are free, enjoying beachfront homes in the Bahamas, at U.S. taxpayer expense, of course, by this administration. Our First Amendment rights to free speech are threatened with control. Our Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms are under increasing attacks by politicians who don't care about constitutional rights, only their own agendas. Our Ninth and 10th Amendments have been forever trampled upon and laughed at by the federal government, who refuses to understand that the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively. This means that Congress and the White House are creatures of the states, not the other way around. Do we want to go in the direction California is plunging into, paying people with IOUs? Action is required because this administration intends to mandate us to control our every move, no matter how they have to do it, unless they're stopped. Only you can stop him. Stay on your elected officials. Stay aware of the things that are happening. Vote this party out of power before it goes too far. Push for limits for our representatives and keep the politicians under control. They're supposed to work for us. Do this before you have to say to your grandchildren, before you have to say to your grandchildren how great it used to be in America. Get on it now. God bless the USA, and God bless you. Thank you.